Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the seventh episode. I can't believe it's been 7 weeks already, man. But seven
Yeah.
episodes in to the Pigskin Project. Not necessarily the most eventful week of the year, but it's the off season. It's something that's necessary. It's kind of expected. But Ben, how are you doing this week? How's this week treating you?
I'm doing good. This week is it's treating me fine. For anybody that lives in the area. It's a shame because we're just in that time of year where the weather fluctuates so much. It was like
Mhm.
45 degrees on Monday and it's like snowing outside right now.
Yeah,
So it's
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 been
a
weird.
shame. Yeah. But like you
Um,
said, we're kind of in like the dry part of the off season. There's a few different pieces. We're kind of in between the season ending and the combine and draft hasn't picked up yet. And then there's gonna be another dry spot after like the first like 2 weeks of free agency. And then after the draft, it's gonna be really dry for like a month and a half until
oh
training camp
man.
starts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least we'll have,
Yeah,
free agency and everything to look forward to, at least for the time being.
yeah,
All the trades and stuff that could potentially happen after the draft. And then there's a ton of hype surrounding every team right after the draft too. So hopefully that hype train will be able to kind of ride and coast our way into the next season. But I'm really looking forward to it. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say, what's going on this week. Like I said, not much, but, just the weekly news. So Eric Bieniemy, as of today, actually, has decided he is returning to the Chiefs after interviewing for multiple head coaching jobs. I don't think either one of us is very surprised by this move at all.
no, yeah, no shock there.
I mean, you have the opportunity to go and help coach a Super Bowl caliber team. Why wouldn't you go back? Kyler Murray and Arizona are both on the same page and thus moving forward together, which is also something that I definitely wasn't shocked by. Um, I think that it was all just blown out of proportion. But
Yeah,
one headline that I saw today that I thought was very funny was the Falcons hiring former Bears GM Ryan Pace as their senior personnel executive. And I was just like, man, at first glance, I was like, I can't believe Ryan Pace got another job in the NFL. And then I saw what the position was, and I was like, you know what? Senior personnel executive, not a bad move. It's not a
no,
GM, but
no,
it's definitely something that's gonna have a say as far as, um, like for the upcoming draft, for example, who is going to be that diamond in the rough. And as a Bears fan, I'm actually kind of nervous about the draft, just judging by the young GM. And he might be inexperienced, you never know.
not
Is he
having
going
a
to
first
be?
round pick can add to your
Oh yeah,
anxiety of it too as
says
well.
the guy that has 3 first-round picks this year, but whatever. And then last but not least, and I will speak my piece on this for a
something you
while.
something you were surprised about after saying three pieces of news that we weren't very shocked about. This is
So
something that
I
was
was
you were
surprised
livid.
about.
He
I
he
was
was livid.
livid.
He was
I
not
was
happy.
so excited. Now let me just say the headline that I typed out. Aaron Rodgers trolls all of Chicago and Green Bay after completing a 12-day cleanse that involves him throwing up and crapping his pants. So I in all honesty, okay, so the way that I mapped everything out. So I saw the Instagram post the night before he went on Pat McAfee's show. And I was just like, man, something's going to happen. And I even texted you. I was like, look, this man's going to retire or he's going to leave or he's going to announce something, but he is not staying in Green Bay.
And what was that Instagram post for the people that don't know?
Oh, do you want me to? I can pull that up really quick, actually.
As he pulls it up, we'll kind of summarize it a little bit, and he'll tell you exactly what it was. But it's just basically him like thanking everybody that he's played with in the Green Bay Packers, and it was kind of weird and
Yeah,
yeah.
so it shows, he included 10 pictures and everything, but I will read the caption, which led to all the conspiracy and everything, just to kind of recap, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know about what happened, or at least what's going on, but just in case you live under a rock. So he said, here's some Monday night gratitude for some of the incredibly special people in my life with some pictures from the last beautiful year. At Shailene Woodley, thanks for letting me chase after you the first couple months after we met and finally letting me catch up to you and be a part of your life. For those that don't know, by the way, he did call off his marriage and thus, ending his chase for a second ring outside of the field. Or I mean, I should say just another ring, but you know what I mean. Thanks for always having my back and the incredible kindness you show me and everyone you meet, and for showing me what unconditional love looks like. I love you and I am grateful for you. To the men I got to share the quarterback room with every day, Matt, Nathaniel, Luke, Jordan Love, and Kurt Bankert. You guys made every day so much fun, and I am so thankful for the daily laughs and stress relief you brought me to every week of this year. I love you guys. To the Friday crew, I don't know, and Pat McAfee even had a rough time pronouncing her name, but Ida Cobb is how I'm going to pronounce it. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. Randall Cobb, Frankie Shebby, and David Bakhtiari. I loved every moment we got to spend together this year. Your love and support was overwhelming, and I cherish the friendships I have with each of you. To my teammates, past and current, you are the icing on the beautiful cake we call our job, football. The friendships that we will transcend our collective time in this game, and I am so thankful for the role that each of you have played in making my life that much better. I love you guys and cherish the memories we've made. To everyone else, spread love and gratitude to you beautiful people, and read a book once in a while too while you're at it. Love and peace. Now, with all of that, he included a thing that said, gratitude is the wine for the soul. Go on, get drunk. His second picture was him and Shailene Woodley. His third was the Friday crew that he mentioned of Ida Cobb, Randall Cobb, Frankie Shebby, and David Bakhtiari. Sorry. The third or fourth picture that he included was the quarterback room right before getting on the buses. The next one that he included was Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb standing next to each other. The next one was Aaron Rodgers with Preston Smith's arm over his shoulder. Oh, hold on, it went to a different post. The next one was Aaron Rodgers holding up a pinky and a thumb, whatever the type of hand signal that is or whatever, right next to Matt LaFleur. The next one is Aaron Rodgers right next to Bill Turner. The next one is Aaron Rodgers right next to Tim Boyle. And then the next one, which led to the most, it's the last picture, it led to the most controversy. It's the one game that Aaron Rodgers wasn't a part of that had Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams standing with a gap in between them. And for people that don't know, Aaron Rodgers stands right in between the two for the national anthem, and he wasn't able to do that just that week. And so for him to post something like that, as a Bears fan that's been terrorized by him his whole life, basically, I was just sitting here thinking he's gone because he used a lot of words in the past tense. He also posted that picture of Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, which I really did not expect Devontae Adams to go anywhere. So just saying, it could be a little picture of what the Packers organization could look like without him. So with that being said, after I read that, I was like, oh, I am wearing my Bears jersey tomorrow because something big is about to happen. And as a Bears fan, I am going to be so happy. I watched that first hour of the Pat McAfee show, and Aaron Rodgers said there's nothing cryptic about gratitude, and I wanted to throw my MacBook through the wall. Yeah, Ben, what were your thoughts on everything as you processed everything?
And as Ryan can vouch for me, I did tell him he needed to calm down because this is not the first time that this has happened. I mean, the exact same thing happened last year. And Green Bay fans, I mean, honestly, to a worse extent last year. Like everybody was, I mean, pretty darn certain that he was leaving last year. But then he came back. So I'm not surprised in any way that that's what he was doing. He kind of just likes to mess with people, and that's kind of where we are with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no. And one thing that he did say was, he was going through a cleanse, and gratitude was the first kind of feeling that he experienced. And so that cleanse was disgusting. Ben, I don't know if you really read up on it or
Uh,
anything just to see.
nope, I'd rather not.
Well, I'm gonna tell you anyway.
I'm gonna put you on mute. You better walk. Kidding. I'm kidding.
um, it's called like pan pancakarma cleanse. I don't know. He called it a PK cleanse. Sounds intense. It originated in India. He said it's been going on for thousands of years, and it's something that he's done in the off season. Um, so it's a principle of medicine that is done for cleansing, balancing, healing, and rejuvenation, according to some institute. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm reading the New York Post article if you guys want to read along or just look it up for yourself. It's supposed to eliminate toxins from your body, strengthen your immune system, and relax your mind and body through upper and lower purging. So basically,
Oh,
with that, it's therapeutic vomiting or induced vomiting, forced diarrhea to purge the bowel and cleanse blood toxins, the sweat glands, kidneys, stomach, small intestine, colon, liver, and spleen.
mm-mm,
Um, it
mm-mm.
says there are medications given by enema to cleanse toxins through the colon. The elimination of toxins through the nose is also one thing. It is done by nasal administration of medications, which can include um, various oils, dry powders or herbs, fresh juices, ghee,
I think,
and medicated decoctions in milk. And
no,
then,
I think you're good. I think we have the gist.
yeah, there's only
That's
one more thing.
nasty.
It's the
Oh, go
detoxification
for it.
of the blood, but um, very,
Ugh,
very gross.
graphic.
Um, very graphic, yes. As a Bears fan, I mean, I couldn't even wish that
To
upon
the
Aaron, so I don't know why he would even sign himself up for that. But um, it made me giggle a little bit because I was like, dude, who signs up for that? You freaking weirdo! Like, stop
yeah,
that.
that's
Um, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
no.
Let's just end it there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In more exciting news,
Yeah,
the
so
combine.
yeah, the
Oh,
combine's coming up.
yes.
That's pretty cool. What's that, next week? I think it starts next week, right?
It starts. It technically starts on like
March
Tuesday.
1st.
That's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or technically it starts on Monday, which is the last day of January or last day of February. But like the first day that stuff is actually happening is March 1st.
Yeah. Okay. So um yeah, no, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it because I feel like that's when my mock drafts start having some kind of um, you know, what is it, credibility with
Yeah.
it, because I feel like last week's it was just awful. But speaking of the off season and different, things that are going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to segue to the off season pigskin pick'em. For this week, we have the safeties and cornerbacks. So yeah, hold on one second.
Yeah. While you're pulling up the list for the safeties and cornerbacks that we're going to go over, I want to talk a little bit more about the combine.
Oh yeah, of course.
Um, for those who aren't aware, again, so on Tuesday, this is the first day we'll actually get like interaction, I guess, with players. And for those who don't know, this is all taking place in Indianapolis here at Lucas Oil Stadium, where it does every single year.
Which is pretty cool
Um,
for us, by the way, because it's pretty close. Do you, you know,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't know the validity behind this statement, but I go to school here in Indianapolis, and our president came out. It was just there have been some rumblings that you could see some players. I don't know what the validity
hey,
behind that. I don't think it'll happen.
give me some
Um,
autographs, man.
yeah, it'd be fun, right? But anyways, that's taken here. That's here in Indianapolis. But on Tuesday, the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends are doing their med checks and interviews. On Wednesday, that same group of positions are doing more interviews and talking to the media. and the O-line and running backs are doing their med checks and interviews. You guys gotta stay with me here. This gets a little crazy. On Thursday, the tight ends, quarterbacks, wide receivers do their actual on the field workouts. That's where they get their measurements. They do like the 40-yard dash and the bench and the vert and everything. So on Tuesday, they're doing the measurements and workouts. The O line and RBs are doing media and interviews, and the D line and linebackers are doing their med checks. On Friday, the O line and running backs are doing their workouts. The D line and the linebackers are doing the media and more interviews, and the defensive backs and specialists, so the kickers, punters, and long snappers are doing their med checks and interviews. And then got to catch my breath here. D line and linebackers on Saturday are doing their measurements and workouts. And then the DBs and specialists are doing media. And then that Sunday is like the last day of on the field stuff. And that's the DBs and specialists doing their workouts. And I just have a few players real quick, take maybe 2 minutes, that I think would greatly benefit from good combine. Just good combine. So some players to watch is offensive tackle Charles Cross out of Mississippi. He's one of the top ranked tackles in this class. But if he can have some good weigh-ins, that'd be good, because his concern is that he's just going to come in under 300 pounds, which is not good. So if he can get a good weigh-in, then that'll be good. Kendricks, the cornerback out of Georgia, really needs to do good in his interviews, because there are some character issues with him, because he went to Clemson and got kicked off.
Okay.
So he went to Clemson and got kicked off the team at Clemson, and then went to Georgia, and then he's played fine here at Georgia. And we never really figured out why Kendricks got kicked off the team. So
wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So he needs to do some good character checks there. So the interviews are very important to him. Daniel Falele, the offensive tackle out of Minnesota, again, another top-ranked offensive tackle. He's kind of the potential and upside, but low floor. So he just needs to have some good running and agility workouts, because he's a big guy. So if he can get some good like agility workout numbers, he'll really cement himself. The guy I dislike, George Karlaftis, it goes the same thing. He's really big. He needs to show that he can move side to side laterally. That's very important for him if he wants to go in the first round. Pretty much every single quarterback needs to have something to prove here. So I'm not going to go into depth. Just
I
injury
really
concern.
want to just watch the quarterbacks, just because, I mean, there's not a lot of hype behind it. So just for comedic effect, I just want to see all the incomplete passes and stuff that could potentially happen.
That would be fun. But like, again, like Matt Corral is kind of, there's nothing he can show here, because his is more of a scheme issue. But like Kenny Pickett, if he can have a good hand measurement, that's important. If Malik Willis can show that he like is running at a 4.5 speed, like people are saying, that'll be important. Carson Strong, if his med evals go good with his knee, that's super important. So a lot of these quarterbacks can greatly benefit from the combine. Drake London, wide receiver, he just needs to get some good med. He needs to be cleared with med, because he had an ankle injury season. Treylon Burks, if he can run fast, then he's going to be the top wide receiver in this freaking draft class. They're saying he could have 11-inch hands, and for those who don't know, that is 5XL gloves. Wow. So if that's true, that's going to be crazy. Derek Stingley, same thing. He needs med. Jordan Davis, he just needs to show that he's an athlete, because he's just a big man. Mm-hmm. Sauce needs to run fast. Sauce Gardner and Devontae Wyatt. Same thing goes for Devontae Wyatt, as I said, with Falele and Karlaftis. He needs to show that they have the agility, they can move side to side. But if all these players can do what I say, then they can come out and be big winners from the combine.
Yeah, no, Yeah, no, great points, solid points all around. One thing that I think is also worth noting is that I think there were some players that were complaining about like the bubble and
The
everything
bubble.
as far as, the combine and everything. And so with that, I think it's really cool what they're doing now. I don't know if you saw it, given that, you're in the indie area, but the scouting combine is open to the public and you can register today for free tickets, up to 5 free tickets, Thursday, March 3rd, Friday, March 4th, Saturday, March 5th, and Sunday, March 6th. You can watch tight ends, quarterbacks, wide receivers on Thursday, like you said, offensive linemen, running backs on Friday, defensive linemen and linebackers on Saturday, and defensive backs on Sunday. Ben,
Sunday and Thursday. I didn't even know that was the thing.
that's really
I
cool. Here's the thing.
ooh,
So, and it's really cool for me too, just because, and for those that don't, follow me on Twitter, it's kind of my profile picture, but I know my ways around Lucas Oil now. I had my opportunity to go to watch the and actually do some reporting on a radio station that I work for the Indiana High School Athletics Association's state championship tournament for the football season just this past fall. And I was actually able to go inside Lucas Oil on the field, up in the press box, all in these different levels and stuff. So I think that there is a chance, and I'm not going to promise you anything, but there is a
no.
chance that I could potentially do some convincing to where I can get out to Indy and maybe we can go to these combines together.
Oh,
Maybe
big dog. Right now, I am putting my name in right now. I am gonna do the best I can to get some tickets here because again, draft is my thing. I dream to do this one day.
Hey, well, you
Um,
know what? You never know. This year could be your year to do that. So I'm happy to break the news to you. Um, but yes, while you're doing that, I'll tell you what, I will do some editing during this podcast. If anybody, I don't know, I know majority of our listeners come from Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but if you'd like to go onto YouTube, I will edit some of the pictures and stuff from my experience at Lucas Oil into the YouTube video, and
yeah.
I will provide some timestamps and stuff. So if you're watching on YouTube, they should be popping up right now. Just showing you everything. I was on the field and everything. Very, very cool experience, man. I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest football fans anybody I've ever talked to knows. And just, it's just for me to be able to go onto the field where Super Bowl champions have played. Peyton Manning has played, for example. I mean, him and his giant forehead have been able to walk through the same tunnels that I was able to walk through and everything. And it was just an experience that I know wasn't really on a professional level day, but it's still at a professional level field and stadium and everything. And it's one of the stories that I really, really like to tell too. But as I finish up with that story though, there's one more thing that I'd like to say as Ben's punching in his name for these tickets.
You
I
already know it.
I was able to be in the presence, and I know I'm gonna sound like a fangirl here, but in the presence of Adam Vinatieri at the stadium when I was there. And it was really cool just because his son played for Zionsville, who ended up making it to the state championship. And Zionsville ended up losing that game, so I didn't want to go and confront Mr. Vinatieri. I figured maybe if his son won and he had some extra time or something like that, maybe I could ask him like, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah blah, blah, and like try and have a conversation with him. But given the fact that his son lost, I decided as a dad, he'd probably want just the time with his son to try and help him cope with a big loss in his
Yeah.
career. So it was just really cool to be able to tell, like, with the set of binoculars that I had, like, hey, that's Adam freaking Vinatieri, like one of the greatest, if not the greatest kicker of all time. Like, that is huge. So, um, with that being said, so I would like to start the offseason pigskin pick'em right now. Moving on to the safeties, corners, and then the teams that could be in play for both positions. Ben, what's the face for?
Oh no, just for anybody who doesn't know. And again, I don't quite know what Ryan does for the background of this for the podcast. But if you guys could see, I'm smiling ear to ear here. I just punched in to put in some of these tickets. If I can get these tickets, dude, I am going to like throw a party if I could get these tickets. I'm not kidding. Like
Hey, I want to be invited,
this
man.
is hey, you are I yes, there are a few people I already have in mind. If it's five, I yes. Whew. All right.
Well, let's can you talk to us a little bit as to like how long this has been your dream and everything on like how much you've wanted to go to one of these and what interests you specifically, maybe not just this year, but just in general, like the overall experience.
Um Again, it's always just been something that um I've just wanted to do because obviously the draft has always been my thing. I've always loved the draft from the time I've gotten into football and college football. Again, love it. And this is the bridge between college football and the draft. So this is, I mean, it's huge. And I've always like, I remember like sitting in math class, like eighth grade year, freshman year, like watching the combine like on my phone, like not even caring what the teacher has to say because I'm too locked in trying to watch the combine. um, so it like
Yeah,
I mean, if I could get this dude, um, I mean, I have plans on Saturday and Sunday, but
you could push them to the side. It's the freaking combine.
exactly, my friend.
I'll tell you what though, this radio job that I do, I will be scheduled for a game. What is this? I'm trying to look through my email really quick. That way I can make
We're gonna
sure.
put
Let's
in
see.
for 4 just in
Tuesday.
case. All right.
I put in for all 5, dude, and find somebody. If not, just be like, hey, look, I got an extra ticket. Who wants to go?
Oh, you put in for it?
I'm putting in for all 5. Yeah.
All right. Thank
You
you
could sell these
for
bad
reserving your
boys. What are you
tickets.
talking
The
about?
QR code below is your ticket for you and your guest center.
Agree to the terms
What?
below. I don't have
Hold
to.
on. Thank you for reserving your tickets to the 2020 NFL Scouting Combine. The QR code below is your tickets for you and your guests to enter the Lucas Oil Stadium. This QR code.
Dude.
Dude, I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Hold on a minute. Did we just?
Okay, you need to cut this out. You can pause it. You can pause.
All right. So now that we've got ourselves gathered, and that was a very quick cut.
Yeah, that was unexpected but exciting.
So we're scrambling right now to figure out whether or not we have the people to go to this combine, but we will be there at some point. I promise.
I can tell you for sure I'm going to be there. Ryan is going to try his darndest to be down here, but you guys heard it here first. You guys, I mean, you guys are come next week's episode. You will be able to say
Hey,
you heard from people.
you know what?
That,
And I just realized this on air, on the spot, dude, if I come down next Thursday, we could do our very first in
in
person.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it would be fun.
I guess it wouldn't be necessarily in person given the fact that we have something special going on next Thursday. Watch and listen to next Thursday's podcast for a special guest. Anyway,
Oh shoot.
so
Yeah,
we
that's
might
true.
be we might be doing a little something.
Yeah.
But you know, enough about next week. Enough about next week. We still got this week.
We still got safeties and cornerbacks, baby.
Which we're about to dive into. So I'm gonna Ben, here's how I'm gonna handle this. We're gonna start out with corners. I'm gonna give you a corner to preview. We'll talk about it for like maybe a couple minutes, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then I'll give you guys just a couple teams or a few teams potentially judging by, which position, and, we will be trying to figure out what teams can potentially land these players or at least be in the running for a new corner or safety. So, Ben, without further ado, can you tell me about JC Jackson?
Uh, JC Jackson at times, if you guys like watched the Patriots, I don't know how much Patriots football people watched. I'm assuming most people are Bears fans that are listening, but I mean, at times JC Jackson was the best cornerback in football. I mean, people are going to say Trayvon Diggs because his interceptions, but I mean, JC Jackson at times was the best cornerback in football. He's locked down. I'm surprised that the Patriots didn't like keep him or like
Tag him yet or
gonna even
something?
try. Maybe they'll tag him, but it's heard that he like that's not gonna even happen. And he came out today or the other day talking about the Patriots saying he doesn't feel valued and he wants to go somewhere that he feels valued. Um, which is really shocking because again, when they traded Gilmore, which we'll get into later, when they traded him this off season or this during the season, I assumed like, yeah, you're going to keep JC Jackson. But I mean, JC Jackson, when he's playing at his top elite high end, he's either the best cornerback in football or the second best cornerback in football behind Jalen.
I will tell you this, as far as the Patriots go, I don't know about you or how you look at a Patriots team, but the number one thing that I think of when I think of Patriots is Bill Belichick and his offense. I don't even think about defense. I don't even think about that side of the ball. When it comes to Super Bowls and stuff, when the Patriots are in it, I'm always thinking about who's going to score the most. I'm not even going to think about who's going to have the most amount of defensive stops and stuff like that. And I think is a former corner. I would like to say it's not just about interceptions. So like your Trayvon Diggs, guess what, buddy? Congratulations. Anybody can, try and, be a ball hawk and everything. Cool. But at the same time, if you're also giving up 75-yard bombs, that's not very cool.
Yeah.
There's a difference between having a lot of interceptions and being a bad corner, and then having not a lot of interceptions but still having a lockdown corner. And
Well,
I think that, and I'm not saying that like, okay,
yeah,
for example,
yeah.
look at Jalen Johnson. I know I'm extremely biased towards Chicago and I'm trying hard not to, but I will say Jalen Johnson is arguably, I would say, a top 10 corner in the league. I mean, is that fair?
Uh, no, I
No, top
disagree, but
15.
we'll do the top. We'll give him top 15.
Okay. I mean, it's not really significant towards my point, but Jalen Johnson, I mean, he doesn't have that many interceptions on the year, right?
Yeah.
And like, and if you follow me on Twitter, I even said like, yeah, Jalen Johnson had a bad beat against Devontae Adams. But if you remember correctly, for both of those games when, Devontae Adams or, when Jalen Johnson is covering Devontae Adams, he does a pretty freaking good job
Yeah.
of holding his own against what I think is the best wide receiver in the league in Devontae Adams. Now that he's a wide receiver and he could be leaving, or now that he's a free agent, I should say, and he could be leaving Green Bay, given the fact that also I forgot to mention for whatever reason that he could be, they could let him walk this offseason. I
Yeah.
find it okay to kind of compliment this guy. He is the best
Yeah.
wide receiver in the league at the moment. And, bold take or whatever, but I definitely would
Yeah.
take him over Cooper Kupp. But what's up?
Well, it's funny that you say that because JC Jackson has been locked down, but he's also produced. The last 2 years, he's had 17 interceptions. So
That's
not only is
really
he
good.
locked down, yeah, but
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's production's everything. But moving on to other disgruntled Patriots, let's look at Stephon Gilmore.
yeah, I mean Stephon Gilmore for the longest of times was viewed as it was up there with Jalen Ramsey as the top cornerback in football. But
There's also a
then
rumor
this,
once upon a time that he was in talks with Chicago about coming to the Windy City, but
yeah.
Ryan Pace sucks. So anyway, continue.
But then this year he got traded to the Panthers and he's been hurt um, on and off. But when he's healthy, again, he's a top five cornerback in football. And he's going to get his bag just as much as JC Jackson is. They're probably both going to make 17 to 20 million dollars. They're both, again, we have two of the top five cornerbacks right now in this free agent market as long as they don't get franchise tagged.
Yeah. I think and I'll get to the teams and everything that could be in play later, but man, I mean these two right here could change a franchise as far as, I think um yeah, anyway, let's move on to Kyle Fuller and Bryce Callahan. I
You
only
know a
put
thing
them
or two about these guys.
yeah, so Kyle Fuller, I was very, very, very upset that Chicago just cut him and just let him go to Denver, which was cool to see him go. But he was also, I mean, he fell off. And especially when Denver has this young corner, um, you're not going to see a lot of Kyle Fuller if, he's like a third or fourth option at that position. So I guess it was kind of like a meh move by Kyle Fuller and his agent, but I definitely think I would welcome him to Chicago again with open arms if he wanted to do so with a new regime and what I think is going to be a better producing defense. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, but I think that there will be talks. And then as far as Bryce Callahan goes, another former Bear, one thing that you have to look at before you analyze him as far as stats and everything, he is a very, very injury prone player. So if he were to go literally anywhere other than maybe Denver, expected to be on a very cheap deal. Because I feel like if it's a very, very high risk situation, a team isn't going to really want to pay that much. So Bryce Callahan, I would not expect him to get too much money just because of how many injuries he's had in the past. But Ben, what do you I mean, I know that you've got this huge football knowledge, but what do you got for these two?
Well, for the whole Kyle Fuller thing, it makes sense that he goes to Denver. I mean, his former DC is the head. I mean, was the head coach there the year he was most productive. Vic Fangio was his DC, so it makes a ton of sense that he went to Denver. But I could definitely see him um coming back to the Bears. But I can't see both Kyle Fuller and Callahan come back to the Bears.
Right, absolutely.
But I could definitely see one of them come back. Um, Bryce Callahan, like you said, is going to have a little bit less of a market because of his injury history, and he's pretty much only a slot only cornerback. So he can only go to a team that's really looking for a slot cornerback. He struggles playing on the outside from time to time, so it really limits and kind of pigeonholes where he's going to go. But I mean, when he's healthy, he's a great cornerback. We saw that when his time in Chicago, his last few
Yeah.
years before he left.
Absolutely. I really do think the combination between Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson is something that I definitely missed. And I'm sure all Bears fans can, vouch for me as well that they missed it as well. Just judging by, the lack of a secondary that we had. But I think I'll get into that later. But let's move on to Casey Hayward.
Casey Hayward, he's just had such a weird career. He's had really high highs, really low lows. And going into this last off season, it was one of his lower points in his career. But he had a great year in that Raiders defense. It'll be interesting to see if he leaves because that defense really fits him really well. He really needs to play like a quarter or a zone coverage or like a quarter high scheme. He's not a really good man cover corner. So again, that really pigeonholes where he's gonna go a little bit. But I mean, again, he played very, very well this past year, but he's getting up there in age. I can't foresee him getting a big contract. But he's a
And
great
then,
corner if he's in the right scheme.
oh yeah, absolutely. Your thoughts on Darius Williams to finish us off?
Yeah, this guy's a little bit more slept on. A lot of NFL fans as a whole really don't know who this guy is, which is a
Me being one
shame.
of them.
Yeah. So like Ryan, for those who don't know who he is, he's the guy that's playing opposite of Jalen Ramsey. He's the other outside cornerback for the Rams. And I mean, as we know, that secondary for the Rams is good. It's not just Ramsey. Obviously, Ramsey helps, but Darius Williams, I mean, he's I wouldn't say locked down, but he's played very well opposite of um Ramsey, and I think he would go to a team where he kind of can grow into that number one cornerback, and I think he kind of wants to prove to the league that he can be that guy um, that a secondary can depend on. Because obviously he hadn't have had to with Jalen Ramsey, but I think he's gonna have. I think for him personally, I think he should shine a shorter term deal, um, like a 1 or 2 year deals, just to prove that he can be that guy, and then make more money later on because he is pretty young as well. I'm pretty sure he is only 26.
Judging by the things that you just told me, though, I can definitely see him just sticking with his current situation, just judging by, the success that he's had and everything. And, even though that it is a limited role, I mean, they can definitely pay him the money to be able to stay, unless these other teams decide to be more aggressive, in which I think, you have to almost value, you know, or just kind of weigh your options as far as winning or money. Which is why, you see wide receivers go to like New York, for example. It's like, they're not going to be winning anything out there. Like, look at what's his name? Sterling. No, not Sterling Shepard. The guy that went to the Giants last year. What was his name? He was a Lion.
Oh, you're Kenny Galladay. I
Kenny
thought you were talking
Galladay.
about. I thought you were talking about the New York Jets. Yeah.
No, no, no. Oh, I mean, yes, the Jets are definitely one of those teams as well. We covered wide receivers last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, okay. Allen Robinson could potentially be going to New York as well. I could definitely see him as one of those players that just kind of burns out there. But as far as, I mean, Kenny Galladay, he's just one of those players that just, I don't know, he came for his money instead of winning. Um, and I think he's definitely getting paid, but he's definitely not playing. But anyway, do you have any final thoughts on these corners before I release what I think could be my 5 teams that could play in to these players?
No, I mean, as far as Darius Williams, again, it's hard for me to see him staying just because the Rams are, I think they're negative $21 million in cap space, so
Okay.
they don't have a lot of cap space. Um, and again, I think he wants to go somewhere that he can kind of prove himself as that number one guy. But I mean, it's a good cornerback group. It's nothing that'll blow your socks off. But the safety group will. We'll get to that after
Oh
Ryan
yeah.
talks about the teams.
So the 5 teams that I have in play, I will say Chicago is one of them, just because the secondary is awful. Like you said, Kyle Fuller could be potentially making a return. That would be cool. I definitely see the Bears making a big splash at some big position that I think, um, and we'll get to offensive linemen and everything. So like that will be another position that the Bears can be big players in. Given that there's a lot of veteran options at that class, but like I said, we will get there to a future episode, probably a couple weeks from now. But I think Kyle Fuller could be one of those veteran options that could potentially teach a young class. I mean, look at Thomas Graham that, I mean, had some late season shining moments that I think could make us a case to start. It all just depends on how Eberflus Eberflus has his defense, or
Uh,
wants to work his defense.
Absolutely. Quick, a little off topic. Thomas Graham went to Oregon, right?
Good question. I just know Thomas Graham is one of my favorite players right now, but
Okay, I was wondering. Yeah, he went to Oregon.
uh
All right, you
he
can
did.
continue. Yeah,
Okay. Yes, he did. Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, so Minnesota is also another one. I think, the Patrick Peterson signing is, something that was very underwhelming for this Minnesota team. I was very scared when Patrick Peterson went to the Vikings. I was like, oh man, like Patrick Peterson, man, like come on. So you might, you never know. Patrick Peterson could be on the move and then they might, snag somebody up. Cincinnati is also a team that I find almost comical just because of how obvious that need is. I mean, Eli Apple, I'm sorry, but like if you're a Bengals fan and you think Eli Apple is your long-term option, I can promise you, he is not even close to that long-term option. So yeah. Anyway, Dallas is also another option for these corners to go to. And lastly, I would say Detroit, just to try and get some more security on those outside edges. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, well, with the last, um, again, I can't poo-poo on you too much because I didn't even have this list. This is gets difficult here. But with Dallas, I I can't even see Dallas being active in free agency at all because they have so much negative cap on top of the guys that they really want to re-sign anyways. Um, but one of these guys getting paired with one of the Bengals quarterbacks would be fun
Oh
because
yeah.
the opposite cornerback of Eli Apple, his name is Chidobio Awuzie. Um, he went to Colorado. He's been in the league for 4 years now, I think, and he's slept on. I mean, he's one of the most
Mhm.
underrated players in the league. So it'd be fun to see one of these bigger name CBs go there and play with him.
So moving on to the safeties. I'm definitely gonna need a little bit of help as far as teams go. If you have any kind of matchups or whatever for these players towards the end, please just feel free to add on. I have two teams that could be potential players in this, but and one of them is pretty obvious as well. It's kind of tough uh, to try and slot these players in. But the first thing that I want to mention is Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, what an interesting name. Um, Obviously, I think top three in the league at his position. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I'll stick with it. It's fine.
Eh.
But I definitely think he's, yeah, man, I don't know. I just think he's going to go somewhere and he's going to get his money. And that's where he's going to, he's going to shine somewhere else, but it's not going to be Kansas City anymore. And that's my little bold take for this section. But what's your thoughts on Tyrann Mathieu?
Um, I think Tyrann Mathieu is the third best quarter or safety in this free agency class. I
Okay.
wouldn't say he's top three. I think he's getting there a little up in age, and but I think any team would be happy to have him. He's a solid
Oh, yeah.
contributor. He's again solid contributor. He's gonna do everything right. He's kind of had a little of a fallout there with the Chiefs earlier in the season. He called out Chiefs fans saying they were the worst fans in the league, which is not a good look because he was
No.
currently on the Chiefs. um, but again, I'm sure everybody knows who he is at this time, but he's like 5'10, 5'9". He's a hard hitter. He plays in the box most of the time. But like you said, any team would be lucky to have him. But I do think there are two better safeties in this class.
Yeah, and then moving on, let's see where those are. I would like to move just a little quicker just because we have a lot to
Yeah.
get to. But Jesse Bates, I think is also another interesting name. One person that I actually left off of the list for whatever reason, mainly because I think that I just didn't see his name on the list originally. But now that I look at it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, definitely put him on there. Um,
Yes.
a very, very underrated, in my opinion. I think that he's one of those names that doesn't get talked about enough. But I think that he's got a lot of talent to where he can flourish either staying put where he's at or just staying, or I mean, making more money somewhere else. So where are you thinking?
I mean, just quickly, I think Jesse Bates the last 2 years has been the best safety in football. And I would be very surprised if um people that are very, people that know their stuff disagreed. I mean, a lot of people would agree Jesse Bates is the best safety in his class, one of, if not the best safeties in the league. And I logistically, I think he's going to stay in in Cincy, but
Okay,
we'll see.
moving on. Marcus Williams, what you got for us there?
uh, if you would ask people 2 years ago, they probably would have told you Marcus Williams is the best safety in the league. He's still a top five safety. Um, and I know the Saints would love to hold on to him, but again, they have a negative $78 million in cap. So they literally do not have any cap to keep him. But um, again, he's one of the top five safeties in all of football as well.
Okay, and then Marcus May.
Um, he has been fun to watch because for a really long time, um, he was kind of known as the free safety because he was working alongside Jamal Adams because we tend to forget he was a Jet. But he was working inside Jamal Adams as the free safety, and everybody kind of just boxed him into that free safety role. But then when Jamal Adams left, he transitioned to the strong safety, and he's played very well in that role as well. So I think that'll really help him because he can play both free and strong.
And then on top of that one, Quandre Diggs.
This is a sleeper right here if we're going to talk about it. Quandre Diggs played for the Lions. He didn't really have a lot of hype when he played for the Lions, but the Seahawks traded for him, ironically, playing next to Jamal Adams as well. And he's flourished in that role. Again, I think the Seahawks uh, would be stupid to let him go, but we'll see how many of these safeties end up staying and how many of them end up leaving.
So do you have, okay, the two teams that I have at least written down that could potentially try and chase after these? I think, obviously I'm going to say Chicago just because I think, and I feel bad because I feel like I've said Chicago for literally all of these positions so far. But I mean, they're going to do their due diligence on, what players they're going to need, and they need to upgrade that secondary as well. So, finding that safety position to try and pair alongside of Eddie Jackson, depending on the player, it could make Eddie Jackson the number 2 option in Chicago. Maybe moving him over. I mean, we've seen him be very underwhelming this year in terms of just at that position. So maybe we could see Eddie Jackson on the move, or just see where his replacement would be, or just who to put alongside him, because Deshaun Gibson did a pretty decent job with Chicago, who is also a free agent, but because of restrictions on time or whatever, we're only going to cover just these few. But that's another player that I see. I know he's a veteran, so he shouldn't make too much money, but maybe getting a couple of years off of a team that might not be in the best situation. And then the second team that I have is Baltimore, that also needs to upgrade that secondary as well. But do you have any other team that could potentially go with these two to try and commit to these safeties? And don't feel bad if you don't, but I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
No, you're good. Ironically, the Lions could really benefit from getting another safety back there, which would be really funny if Quandre Diggs ends up going back there. Um, they could benefit from that, and then the Eagles as well. The
Mm,
Eagles could really benefit from that. And then again, ironically, the Jets could really be useful to sign Marcus May back.
yeah.
Um, And again, I would put Cincy on that list, but I'm gonna guess Cincy franchise tags Jesse Bates. But yeah, the Eagles and Lions.
So, moving on, I would just say, like, just as a reminder, as far as our college, our college corner, or Ben's college corner, I should say, more so, just because he deserves more credit than I do on it. I think, it's important to note, just like we did last week, it will be its own episode, and we're putting out weekly mock drafts as a part of that. But because of next week and how things are planning out as far as the last hour goes, um, you know, keep an eye out for this college corner, because we might have a little bit more information in terms of what we're seeing on this field, the beautiful Indianapolis Lucas Oil Stadium field. But yeah, so if you're interested in mock drafts, look at the other episode. It's updated, or it's uploaded at the same exact time as this one. But as we move on, we're gonna go into 3 bold takes. All right, so Ben, you're gonna go first on your 3 bold takes. I can't wait to
Um,
hear what's going on in that mock draft.
as it should. Mine are all revolving around the draft in the combine.
Mm,
Um, this one should come as the first one should come as no shock to anybody. Um, I think Kyle Hamilton's the best player in the draft. Um, People don't want to admit it because safety doesn't have the same value as edge rusher, quarterback, and tackle. And everybody's going to have the tackles and edges ranked above Kyle Hamilton. But Kyle Hamilton is the best player in the draft, and people are crazy for not saying that. Um, the past week or so, Leo Chenault, the linebacker out of Wisconsin, has been getting like this crazy draft like rise. Um, I like Leo Chenault, but I think this rise is going to cause him to probably be drafted early day 2. Um, and I think he's going to be overrated. I think he's getting heavily overrated.
okay, number 3.
Um, I think we're going to see an unprecedented number of edges go in the first round. I think
Mm,
we can see six. I think we can see 6 edges go in the top 25.
wow. Okay, yeah, let's go with the edge rushing class.
um, Obviously, the top 2 edge rushers in this class are Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon, and then um, Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. Those are the top 2 edge rushers. Everybody will agree with that. But then the second tier, we have a really good crop of like second tier defensive ends. You have Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher out of Florida, who ironically went to Georgia, and we'll get to Georgia a little bit later on. But when he's on the field, again, he's going to give you a very steady baseline production. Like he might not be the most flashiest, like get you 15 sacks in a season, but he'll get you 10 sacks in a season. And he still has that athletic upside with crazy long arms and a crazy motor.
Okay.
Then and then you have Trayvon Walker from Georgia, who he's not getting enough hype because he just didn't get enough pass rushing snaps this year. But when he's pass rushed, he's played very well, and he's a fun prospect because he's 6'5", 275, but he can slide anywhere along that defensive line, and he did that in Georgia.
Okay.
And then you have the other guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo, who, if you watched last week's mock draft video, I can't see him getting past 14 with the Ravens. The fit there is just too good because the Ravens have Michigan's old defensive coordinator. Um, and he played with the Ravens defensive end in high school. David Ajabo is oozing potential. He hasn't played football or he's only played football since his junior year in high school. And when he gets in the right coaching staffs, you can see what he did this year. He put up 14 sacks. And then sadly, as much as I don't like to talk about George Karlaftis, You can't forget about George Karlaftis. I mean, he again, like I said, he'll give you if he's a good leader and he'll give you a good baseline. Like you know what you're gonna get with George Karlaftis. And I would not be surprised if you see all six of these guys go in the top 25, just because they're such good talents and there's a bit of an edge rushing need just throughout the draft.
That's actually pretty fair. I mean, me not knowing too much about the draft, I guess I can't really argue with it as much, but I am going to move us to my three bold takes just because I think we're going to be able to argue a little bit more with mine.
Mhm.
So, with number one, Odell doesn't come back to the Rams. Instead, he's going to fill a Mike Williams sized hole in Los Angeles for the Chargers. I think, it's going to be a short deal, but I'm not going to dive into it too much because I think this
Yeah.
next one is where you're going to go. But Chicago is not getting Calvin Ridley. You know who is? The
Ooh,
Philadelphia Eagles. They are
darn
going to
straight,
get
baby.
Calvin Ridley. And then for the third bold take, I think, we're going to stay in the NFC North, and we're just going to say Detroit is going to take a chance with a risky player, and we're going to keep going with this trivia theme. Do you know who this risky player they're going to take a shot on?
Give it to me.
Mr. Mike Thomas is going to go to Detroit in a trade, and it will be around draft time is my little prediction. But out of those three things, what do you want me to talk about, buddy?
All right. So the most intriguing one here that I feel like we could definitely debate about is the Odell Beckham signing.
Mm-hmm.
You had me there at the start, about him not going to the Rams, but it's the Chargers that really intrigues me. And I feel like that's definitely the most debatable one.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't pass up an opportunity to talk about my birds.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. As far as my point of view with Calvin Ridley, um, I mean, he doesn't have a terrible contract, I guess. And as far as Philly goes, they need a solid option at wide receiver, and Calvin Ridley is just that. As far as what they would be giving up, they have three freaking first round draft picks. Just toss them one. Like that's literally all it takes. If you can just do a swap like that, I'm sure nothing else, I mean, would it be a little much to give up for Calvin Ridley? I think so. I think Chicago will put in an offer for Calvin Ridley, but it won't be as good as Philadelphia's, strictly because Philly has more draft capital this year to be able to be offered in a deal for Calvin Ridley. If you're keeping Jalen Hurts, which I think is the right move,
Yeah.
you need to give him some help. And if you are able to keep Devontae Smith in a deal, or out of the deal, I should say, and still be able to bring in Calvin Ridley, that is a solid 1-2 punch. And then the only thing that I think I would be nervous about for you guys is that Calvin Ridley only has 1 year left on his deal. So if you're able to re-sign him after that, the Falcon might become an Eagle, and you might be, very happy at the end of it. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Again, I would love to see that happen. Because again, Devonte Smith, he produced well. He put up 900 and some chains. When it comes to yards, he put up, I think, 6 touchdowns. So he's performed well for a rookie. But it'd be awesome to get another running mate alongside him. So
Mhm.
I'd love to see it. But where I push back, I don't even think it'll cost a first. I think you
I
could do a
don't
second,
either.
and I think it'll be a second and a fifth.
Yeah, I was definitely
Is
thinking second and late round, but you got three first round picks, man. Don't be greedy.
no, but I mean, if we don't have to give up a first, I mean, why would you?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm totally on board with that. Hey, you know what? I know one team that would like a first if you're willing to just donate. Uh, you know, no. But anyway,
I'll trade you Hertz and a first for Fields.
no. No, God,
Uh,
no. I thought you were gonna give me an
no,
offer about Khalil Mack, and I was gonna listen, but it's fine. Um,
this is an interesting. This right quick. Caught you off guard here. What would it have to take as a Bears fan for you to be willing to give up Justin Fields for
Justin
anybody?
Fields.
For any, not just specifically, like if the Eagles offered all three of their first round picks alongside Jalen Hurts,
Mm,
would you do it?
I mean, I think you have to. And it's just because it's like a stupid thing not to do. You have 3 first round picks, that's plenty of draft capital, and you get a solid quarterback. I'm not going to go as far as say that he's top 15 just yet, but he has potential to be.
Yeah,
If you form the right wide receiver core around him. And as far as these 3 first round picks go, there are plenty of things that you could do with those 3 first round picks to be able to get that wide receiver class to form around Jalen Hurts. Um, I'm not saying by any means I want Justin Fields gone, but if Philly were to call and be like, "Hey, so we'll offer you all 3 first round picks and Jalen Hurts for Justin Fields," I'd be like, "Yeah, no, absolutely, just take him." Like, I would definitely support Justin Fields through and through, but oh my god, it hurts me to even say I would take that trade, but it's it's too good not to take. Realistically, um, I mean, he's an untouchable. That's like, I mean,
yeah.
for your basketball, because I know you're a basketball knowledge, base, and you can go ahead and listen to that Hooper's Haven podcast if you get a chance. It's available on YouTube right now. Anyway, so that's like trying to get Dwayne Wade out of Miami, for example. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough to say like, yeah, no, go ahead and give away our future. But I mean, when you're getting a young prospect and a lot of picks in the first round in return, it's stupid not to. But moving on to our final spot, I will say I'm very, very excited for this because what I did was I reshaped the NFL. I kind of did different divisions and everything. I guess it's just a little different in some areas. There are some teams that are still playing against division rivals, which is unfortunate for my Bears, but more unfortunate for the Lions. And what I would think it's the Jets. Um, Ben, I think you can see my screen, right? As far as just this picture.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and look forward to the divisions. I'm gonna go ahead and I also put together a playoff bracket involving these divisions and seeing who would make the playoffs. That way we could go and see, like, with this year's record. I know that it would be different judging by matchups and everything if it were completely different divisions, but judging by just these records, how would things play through if um, these divisions were a thing and who would be in the playoffs as well. So, starting out with my AFC Northwest division, it is the most spread out division in the whole league, but Kansas City is standing at a 12-5 record. You know what? I'm just going to not say the record just to keep it
Yeah.
simple. Kansas City, Minnesota, Seattle, and Denver make up the AFC Northwest. Moving on to the AFC Northeast, we have Buffalo, New England, and both New York teams in the same division. Man, that's going to be fun to
Well,
watch.
all three New York teams in the same division.
Yeah, I completely forgot that Buffalo was, in New York. Ignore that. Anyway, so, AFC Southwest now. We have another spread out division, but that's okay. We have Dallas, Arizona, New Orleans, and Houston. And I keep in mind, I am going off of like the order in terms of record if you guys are curious, but you guys can also just figure out the records in terms of, who makes playoffs and stuff when I announce it. But the last division in the AFC consists of Tampa Bay, Miami, Carolina, and Jacksonville. So that's the AFC. Moving on to the NFC, I have Green Bay. Oh man, I hate this division. The NFC Northwest, Green Bay, Cleveland, Chicago, and Detroit. And the reason why I hate this division is because it puts my two teams together, fighting each other 2 times a year, and I'd have to stop rooting for my Cleveland Browns as well. So that's a shame, but it would be a very competitive division in my opinion. So the NFC Northeast division consists of Pittsburgh, Philly, Baltimore, and Washington, which I think would be also a fun one to watch, just because Baltimore could have done so much better this year if Lamar Jackson was healthy. And, considering Pittsburgh has the best record in the whole division, that's just interesting as it is. The NFC Southwest division, also known as the Cali division. Also note, I moved the Raiders back to Oakland and I moved the Chargers back to San Diego in this little simulation. Is that worth noting? I don't know, but the Rams, the 49ers, the Raiders, and the Chargers make up this division. I think that would be fun just for the California rivalries.
I mean, that's the best division in all of football right there.
The NFC Southeast division is the one that I think could make up a great division is Tennessee, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Atlanta. That would be one heck of a battle to watch for throughout the season as far as the current standings go. Now, moving on to the current standings in terms of playoff seedings and where everybody is. For the AFC, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, the Arizona Cardinals, the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins, and the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see. And then for the playoff teams for the NFC, it makes up Green Bay, the Rams, Tennessee Titans, 49ers, the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chargers. So we're going to start on the NFC side of things. And Ben, I'm going to have you do your bracket as you see on the screen. So we're going to start off with the number 5 seed going up against the number 4 seed, the Bengals and the 49ers in a former Super Bowl matchup.
This is a really good. This is already tough out of the gates.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I'm biased, just like the Browns are kind of your other team. The Bengals are kind of, and that this isn't bandwagon. Ryan knew I was rooting for the Bengals all year, so I need to not hear anybody in the comments say anything because I was rooting for the Bengals the entire season.
If you're listening, put Ben's a bandwagon in the reviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
For the next matchup, the Titans and the Raiders.
Titans. Oh, yeah. Derrick Henry isn't playing. Or wouldn't have been playing.
I would say give him.
Yeah.
All right, and then the Chargers against the Rams, and then oh man, that one would be so good.
This would be good. But see, because the Chargers' weak spot is their run game, and the Rams' weak spot is their run game. So the weak spot in the Chargers defense is running, and they don't even have to worry about that because the Rams can't run the football. I know they just won the Super Bowl, but the Chargers are going to win that.
Wow. All right. So now the Packers and the Bengals in round 2.
Yeah, the Packers.
Unfortunately.
All
right. The Titans and Chargers.
The Chargers.
Wow. Okay.
I'm having the Chargers go all the way here, baby.
Yeah, Chargers beating the Packers as well.
Yes, I do. Justin Herbert is just so good.
So after that, so we have the Chargers going to the Super Bowl. Now we're going to move to the, what is this? The NFC? No, the AFC. All right. Give me just a second to pull this up. All right. So now we have the Patriots against the Bills, and we both know how that played out this season. Is it going to finish with the same result?
Yeah, the Bills. Yeah.
I guess I should probably start the tournament before I finish with the result. All right. The Cardinals against the Dolphins.
I was not very high on the Cardinals, but the Dolphins are just not. No, the Cardinals, please.
Okay. The Vikings against the Cowboys, what I think would be a pretty good matchup.
It would be a good matchup. I would like to see Trey, as much as I poo poo on Trayvon Diggs. It'd be fun to see Trayvon Diggs versus Justin Jefferson.
Mm.
Um, we're gonna have the Dallas Cowboys win. Sadly, Dallas Cowboys.
The Chiefs against the Bills in a rematch.
Dang. The Bills. Yeah, give me the Bills.
All right.
Throw some parity in there.
The
I
Cardinals
don't
against the
like this.
Cowboys.
The Cardinals won earlier in the season, but I do think the Cowboys would end up winning this one.
All right. And then the
Bills.
Cowboys
Nope,
and
the Bills.
Bills. All right.
Bills. I'm not
You just,
having not having the Cowboys go to Super Bowl. It's just not ready for that.
and then lastly, the,
Bills versus Chargers.
yeah.
That would be a fun game. Two young stud quarterbacks. Uh you know what? And I don't think either team has won the Super Bowl either. So this would be a first for either team. We're gonna have the Bills get their first Super Bowl ring there.
I can't really argue with too many picks. So um I'll still do a bracket, but it's gonna be quick just because I can't see myself arguing too much. I don't
Yep.
see too much making a difference. But starting with the AFC, or not the AFC, the NFC side of things, I think the 49ers actually beat the Bengals here. Just because the 49ers were on a hot streak towards the end, and I think the Bengals just need to work on their secondary and they can't stop Debo. Um, Assuming that Derrick Henry is healthy, I'm going to pick the Titans over the Raiders. And then between the Chargers and the Rams, I disagree. I think you can't stop Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. And so I think the Rams are going to actually beat the Chargers in a close one, though. That one will be fun. I'm going to have the 49ers still beat the Packers just because I think it's hilarious. And I think Robbie Gould's going to kick another game winning field goal just for the fun of it. The Titans and the Rams, I will say, give me the Rams.
Yeah,
The Titans
there
defense just
you
isn't.
go.
Titans defense just isn't there yet. And then between the 49ers and the Rams, I'm going to say the Rams just because, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a more complete team. Now, circling back to the AFC side of things, we have the Patriots and Bills. Like I said before, we all know how that one plays out. So give me the
Yeah, don't
Bills.
make the same mistake again.
No. The Cardinals and Dolphins. Now, hear me out. The Dolphins had a ton of momentum ending the season and everything. I think that
Because they
that's
were
really
playing
cool.
trash teams.
They were so Cardinals, and that's
Okay, I
not
was
because
scared.
I was gonna try and make you angry there and just be like, oh yeah, Dolphins, ball, but not Cardinals are actually going. Vikings are gonna upset the Cowboys round one.
Wow.
It's gonna
I
be
didn't get that.
crazy, but it's gonna be almost like a Minneapolis Miracle. Kirk Cousins flew under the radar last season, and I think that he's just amazing as a quarterback. So, or not necessarily amazing as a quarterback, but amazing this past season as a quarterback. Not the guy for the Vikings, but more so just a guy that can get the job done, and he gets the job done in round one against the Cowboys. The Chiefs and Bills, give me the Bills in a shocker. In this scenario, Josh Allen wins the coin toss. And then so for the Cardinals and Vikings, Cardinals are too much to handle. Vikings can't protect Kirk Cousins, and they stop the run and everything. So between the Cardinals and Bills, if I'm going to assume that Derrick Henry's healthy, I'm going to say that DeAndre Hopkins is healthy. So I'm going to say the
Oh,
Cardinals are.
that's way different. That's
I'm saying the
boo.
Cardinals are going there. Okay, Cardinals are making it to the Super Bowl. and they are going to play the winner of they're going to play the Rams. So
which is really ironic because in real life they are in the same division.
yeah. So honestly, give me the Cardinals.
Oh, that's bad.
Give me the
Boo.
Cardinals right now. End of story. I know
Boo.
you hate that pick. It's totally okay. Um all right, guys. So we're out of time for this one. Ben's getting a little tired and we still got the mock draft to do. So ladies and gentlemen, you guys can go and listen to that mock drafts for some more content. But as for the normal weekly episode, we just want to say thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. We have a lot scheduled for next week's show,
Yes,
actually.
we do.
I am so excited for that. The biggest hint that I can drop as far as next week's is that's it. That's all. That's my dog noise. We so so yeah, more off-season stuff. It's gonna be awesome. I think we're in store for some bold takes and by this special guest. And I think it's gonna be pretty solid. I think this show I'm looking forward to. Make sure you're
Yeah.
subscribed or following us on all of your platforms. We'd like to give a big thank you to anchor.fm for helping us promote our podcast. Please leave a review down below as it helps us more than you know. That's it for this week. So thanks again for tuning in to the Pigskin Project, and see you guys next week where we potentially go to the draft combine. So take it easy.
Potentially.
Oh, we're going.